Donovan Mitchell could not miss. The Celtics flipped the Joe Mazzulla math on the Celtics. And hey, let's talk about Drew Peterson too. It's all right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Yup. Beantown, be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Back to back, if I say it, it's stamped. Locked on number 19, the best one, the next one. Juice loose in your pool now for the next run. It's the C's, who else could it be? What they gon' say now? Screaming like JT, Karalis, recap the madness. Every game, every practice. Best daily pod, no cap like Brad Beckett. Clutch like Drew to KP, tap in daily. Primetime dapping D White on the sideline. Raining Jace, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners. B.
Welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast. It's right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day, and I got you covered every Monday through Friday. Bonus podcasts when they play on the weekends, which they're doing this week. So lots of podcasts all week long. They're all free, so you can subscribe and get them all to your device. However you decide, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also watch the show on YouTube. Get into the comments section. Share your feelings, make them known with fellow Celtics fans, and enjoy the conversation there, even on a night like this where the Celtics lose. I'm John Karalis. I've been covering the Celtics for about 20 years, doing it now as a beat writer for Boston Sports Journal, as the author of Built Different, celebrating Boston's Banner 18. Buy it now at johnkaralis.com. $30. I will personalize it, I will sign it, and I will ship it all for $30. To your door in the United States. So order now so I can get them all to you for the holidays. All right, the Boston Celtics lose to the Cleveland Cavaliers. That means no more NBA belt. The Cavs now have the belt. No first place for Boston. The winner of this game would have had first place. So, the winner of this game does have first place. It's the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Celtics would have had it if they'd won. Now they're a game and a half behind. Okay, December 2nd right now. Don't care much about the standings. First place still would have been nice. NBA belt still would have been nice. We'll talk about Drew Peterson later. That he went from top story to end of the show because of how this game ended. Let's talk about how the Celtics. There's a lot of Cleveland heavy stuff here because first of all they won. The math flipped. Let's just get this out of the way. Donovan Mitchell's fourth quarter was incredible. Hey, today's show, by the way, brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. Place a $5 bet. If it wins, you get $150 in bonus bets. That's if your first $5 bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Donovan Mitchell had 20 points in the fourth quarter. He hit all 6 of the shots that he took. 4 of those were threes, another 4 free throws. And that was the difference in this game. The Cavs put up 43 points in the fourth quarter to Boston's 27. This is, I'm going out of order. I have my graphic. If you're listening, you don't care because you don't see a graphic. But when you're watching, you see a graphic over here on my left. I'm going to go a little bit out of order because I wasn't sure how my brain would work. But this is where I talk about the math being flipped, partly. And I'll get back to the other part of it in a second. But 9 3-pointers, a piece for the Celtics and the Cavs. Celtics were 2 of 9. Cavs were 6 of 9. So right away, the Celtics did not have this math advantage that they have worked for all year long. They took 49 threes overall, and the Cavs took 36, but they both made 17. So the Celtics got no 3-point advantage in this game. And points in the paint, the Cavs had 40, the Celtics had 24. For a while, it was a little bit closer. The Celtics just didn't, they weren't able to pull off a lot of these margin advantages, these math advantages that they've had all season long. No Jaylen Brown, that hurts. No Derek White, that really hurts. Because those are guys obviously you can count on to not only score and punish the Cavs and punish some of those mismatches, but also to defend. The Celtics had to rely on closing lineups that included Drew Peterson. Sam Hauser was out there. And to their credit, they both played well. The defense wasn't really that much of an issue, except you let Donovan Mitchell go off for 24th quarter points. Would have been great if they could have challenged a couple of those shots. Now, he did get those kind of like in the flow of things. I think this game turned when Jayson Tatum got back into the game. Actually, he'd been the reason why they were going off, or one of the main reasons why they were going off. He was a huge reason in that third quarter. He played the whole third quarter, scored 17 points, was a monster through 3 quarters. But then in the fourth quarter, he comes back in, and the Celtics offense kind of stagnates. They're attacking mismatches again. They slow down a little too much. I think they might have been playing the clock game a little too soon. They got away from the ball movement a little too soon. So things started to stagnate. When they missed, when they got cold, the Cavs were running, and the Cavs got these 3-pointers, a lot of 3-pointers in transition, a lot of 3-pointers when the Celtics were cross-matched and making mistakes. So Mitchell gets to step into some shots that if the Celtics were whole, maybe Jaylen Brown is up on Mitchell and making it tougher rather than Sam Hauser, because Jaylen is bigger and more athletic and can maybe make it a little bit more uncomfortable. And all the Celtics needed was for Mitchell to, instead of going 6 for 6 in the fourth quarter, maybe go 4 for 6 or even 5 for 6. If one of those misses, maybe the Celtics can turn around and get something in transition. And that's enough to make it, instead of 115, 111, maybe it goes the other way, 115, 111, and Boston wins. So my number one thing is, I'm not going to overreact to this win by Cleveland. It's not the end of the world. Like I said, it would have been nice to have first place, but okay, not a big deal, right? Cleveland, they played really, really hard. They're at home. Donovan Mitchell goes off. He's the captain of the Celtics killing team. He always has big fourth quarters against Boston. You got to know what's coming. And what can you do? Dude was great. And the Cavs came out, and they, I give them all the credit in the world. Like they won this game. I could look at some things the Celtics could have done differently, but also Al Horford had 2 wide open corner 3-pointers. If he hits one of those, then maybe Mitchell doesn't get one of those other shots. There's Sam Hauser had a wide open 3 that missed. Guys had shots that missed. They had good looks that they really would like and would not trade. And I'm not even going to sit here and say, that was a good look, but they could have gotten better looks. They did generate some good looks that they missed. The Cavs hit. They made some great plays. They won that game. They deserve to win that game. And I don't come away from that thinking like there's any sort of regret for Boston. Although I will say that the Cavs come out of this with some confidence, and they come out of it with at least a feeling like I'm big on not letting results of the games, a win or a loss, color the analysis of the game. However, for the Cavs, the win was important. Not only had they just lost a couple in a row to the Hawks, and they were kind of hungry for a win, they got knocked out of the NBA Cup, which, may matter to some people, but they were looking at this Celtics game as they wanted to get back on track. It was their first losing streak of the season. And they want what Boston has. They want what the Celtics have achieved. They want to win a championship. And I've said it many times, the Cavs came into this season very similar to how Boston came into last season, with a ton of questions, player questions, coaching questions. Can they do this? Types of questions. A lot of the same things that Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown faced as teammates, that Joe Mazzulla faced as a coach, that, Donovan Mitchell faced some of that same criticism that Tatum did. The Mitchell and Darius Garland stuff, somewhat similar to Jayson and Jaylen, that can they play together stuff. Kenny Atkinson as a new coach, is he a great coach, or is he just a great coach for a young team? Like all of those questions are things that the Cavs are trying to answer. The Celtics had somewhat similar questions last season, and they answered them in the best way possible. So the Cavs see the Celtics as a measuring stick. They see the Celtics as having what they want. And a win, more than anything, as much as they can take this and go to the film session and say, oh, yeah, we take all these positives out, winning reinforces the lessons. Winning reinforces the things that they're trying to do. And so this gives them a lot of confidence. Are they a challenger to the Celtics? Yes. And a win like this over Boston makes it a little bit tougher, makes that next game a lot more confident for them, and makes it a little tougher for Boston. Let's talk about the Darius Garland thing. That's a very important element, and that is part of how the math got flipped. I'm going to talk about that when I come back. Today's show is brought to you by BetterHelp. Now, I've been talking about my therapy journey for a while. I'm very open about mental health. I think that people should be taking care of their mental health, but I also know how hard it is. I know how hard it is to find somebody, to click with somebody, and that makes starting that journey tough. BetterHelp is done online, so it's flexible. It's designed to be convenient, suited to your schedule. You go to BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. You fill out a brief questionnaire. They match you with a licensed therapist based on your answers. They try to match you with somebody good. And if it works, great. You've hit on something. You can start talking through some problems, whatever they are. It could be something simple. It could be the holiday stress. It could be relationship stuff, work stuff, something serious, something maybe that you would say it's not so serious, but you want to talk through it. And it can be very, very helpful. If you don't click with this person, don't worry. You can switch for free. You don't have to pay an extra anything. You switch for free until you find somebody you click with. Once you click, I'm telling you, therapy can be very beneficial. So go to BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA today. You'll get 10% off your first month to give it a try. BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Make sure that you are listening to both Locked On Celtics podcasts here after each game. So if you're on the audio feed, you'll see two, Locked On Celtics Postcast. That's with Steve Lennox. He, after the game on the Locked On Sports Boston feed on YouTube, fires up a live show very quickly after each game. That's on Locked On Sports Boston. The audio of that goes on to Locked On Celtics. Then later, after I'm done with my beat writing duties, having gone through all of the post-game stuff, I come here with a little bit more in depth, maybe a little more nuance, and it's all here. That stays on the Locked On Celtics feed on YouTube. So 2 podcasts, so you can enjoy multiple takes on the Celtics. Let's get to the Darius Garland thing, because this is really interesting. I was fascinated by how the Cavs were approaching this in their post-game, where Kenny Atkinson was like, look, they picked on him every play. They picked on him every chance they got. And we said, we're not switching. We're not hiding you. You have to learn how to switch. Kenny Atkinson said of Darius Garland, you're good enough. You're smart enough. You're going to have to go out there and you're going to have to learn how to switch. You're going to have to do it. And what do you know? The last 2 Jayson Tatum drives were misses. Was it great Darius Garland defense? No, but he stayed square, stayed physical. They didn't call a foul. They're not going to call those fouls in the playoffs. So Tatum can complain if he wants, and maybe they were fouls, but not in the playoffs. So get used to that. You know what that's like. So stop complaining about it and just play through it. You gotta finish that. But Garland gets those plays, and they get 2 stops. It goes down as 2 stops. Darius Garland was guarding Jayson Tatum. And then Donovan Mitchell said, look, that he made it tough, and they were taking tough 2-pointers. They're a 3-point shooting team, and they were taking tough 2-pointers. And I was like, oh my God, they really flipped the math on Joe Mazzulla. They baited Tatum into, hey, here's Darius Garland. We're not hiding him. He's going to have to switch. And Tatum was like, yeah, let me feast on this. He hit a couple of shots, but he missed a couple more. And this, like I said before, the Cavs took 9 3-pointers in that quarter. The Celtics also took 9. So they had no real way to gain that math advantage that they like. They were attacking Garland, just like when Al Horford was baiting Evan Mobley last year in the playoffs into attacking him and posting him up and taking those shots while the Celtics took 3-pointers. The Celtics could have, if they had gotten hot in the fourth quarter, maybe they could have kept up, but the Celtics took 23 shots to Cleveland 17, but because Donovan Mitchell was so hot and Evan Mobley joined the party in the fourth quarter, they just hit 12 of 17. They got scorching, super hot. The Celtics just couldn't keep up. Again, some of it was they got cold, but they took 14 2-pointers to the 9 3-pointers. You got to finish, you got to make it. And like I've said before, the fourth quarter is all about making buckets. If they had made the buckets, then that would have been it. You got to make the buckets, and I don't care where they're from. But what they didn't do is they didn't limit the 3-pointers that the Cavs were taking. And while the Cavs were hitting 3-pointers, they were trading 2s for 3s. And that didn't work out. So the Cavs kind of pulled the Celtics on Boston, where they threw Garland to the Wolves, and they made it so the Celtics couldn't take advantage of the things that they normally take advantage of. Tatum only took 1 3-pointer in the fourth quarter. Horford missed both that he took. Porzingis missed 1. Hauser missed 1. Holiday missed 1. Only Pritchard, who was 2 of 3, hit 3-pointers in the fourth quarter. He had a great fourth quarter. He had 17 points in the fourth quarter. A game after he scored 19 in the fourth quarter. So Pritchard stones in the fourth quarter. And some great drives too, another great Pritchard performance. But this brings me to an interesting thing about the Celtics and the Celtics defense since Porzingis returned, which, side note, very interesting that Porzingis and Al Horford played on the front end of the back-to-back. I don't think either of them are going to play against Miami. I don't know what the Celtics are planning there. Might be no Jimmy Butler against the Celtics on Monday because he hurt his knee, so that's unclear if he's going to play. Maybe they just feel like they don't need to go super big against Bam Adebayo. I don't know. Maybe they're going to go small against Bam and try to pull him away from the rim. We'll see. But regardless, the Celtics with Porzingis out there, I completely lost my train of thought. Porzingis after the game said it felt like he was a step slow, that it wasn't his best performance. But Tatum only 4 points in the fourth quarter. Porzingis only 4 points in the fourth quarter. The Celtics were just not able to get the advantages that they normally get. So they were really searching. They were really searching early in the game for something. They found it in Drew Peterson. And we'll talk about Drew Peterson, and maybe I can remember what I was talking about with Porzingis. I'm going to take a break and see if my memory can get back into place, and we'll pick this back up when I come back. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book. And right now, you can get $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. $150 in bonus bets if you win. New customers only. So go check it out at FanDuel.com. If you get a hunch in the middle of the game, they got everything you need to place a bet, a live bet on the NFL, on the NBA. It's all in one place. Right there, you can check out the latest stats, live play-by-play, and a ton more, all in the same place where you place your bets. So visit FanDuel.com today to join. You can also use the tools that they have available. When you sign right up, it'll tell you right there, set your budget, set your limit, so you know what you're willing to spend. They don't want you to go overboard. They want you to come back and play and have fun. Gamble responsibly with whatever money you're willing to lose. At FanDuel.com, place your first $5 bet as a new customer. You get $150 in bonus bets if you win that bet. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Check out the new Locked On Celtics newsletter. Go to LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com to sign up. Get it for free in your inbox 5 days a week. Celtics, league, and fantasy coverage all right there at LockedOnDaily.com. So I remember what I was saying about Porzingis. It's interesting that upon Porzingis' return, that the Celtics have had, they didn't allow a ton of three-pointers, the 36, but because they still allowed the 17, they allowed 47% shooting on those three-pointers. I'm wondering if the trend, like I'm watching this trend here, they allowed a ton of three-point attempts from the Bulls. They allowed 47% shooting against the Cavaliers. With Porzingis back, are they going to be closing out on the three-pointers as they have been prior to his coming back? Where's this defense going to settle? That's kind of something to be watching here. The Celtics, before Porzingis came back, were one of the best teams defending the three-point line. They built a math advantage where they basically were going into every game with a built-in 21-point advantage from the three-point line. They're not getting that same advantage. In this game, they were 0, even, 17 apiece. That's an important element to the Celtics. And I think Porzingis coming back changes how the Celtics are going to defend. Is it going to be better? Is it going to be worse? Like I said, they allowed 40 points in the paint. That seems like a lot, and it kind of is. But also the Celtics have been averaging about 52, 53 points in the paint allowed. So they went double big throughout most of this game, starting Horford and Porzingis. We saw Porzingis and Luke Cornett. We saw Cornett and Horford, lots and lots of double big in this game. And I just wonder if that was by necessity. I'm just kind of curious. We're entering this next phase of the season, the post-Porzingis phase of the season, where we got to watch to see how the Celtics defend. Is it evolving? Is it changing? And how is that going to impact them? Is it going to lead to more blowouts, fewer blowouts? I don't know, but very fascinated by the fact that the Celtics have, in 2 games, have had some level of their three-point advantage kind of taken away in Porzingis' return. Just something to watch. We want to fix one problem, but don't want to give another, create another one. So I don't know what the answer is there. But again, the answer very simply could have been Jaylen Brown and Derek White. I do have to keep that in mind, that those two in this game, and Jaylen was, sick, and Derek White had a foot sprain. He was on the bench standing. He looked fine. So I don't think it's a big deal for either of these guys. So that's just something to watch. Just going down the rest of the guys that played, Al Horford did not shoot well, but I think generally had a positive impact. When he wasn't on the floor, you could tell. Porzingis, like I said he was a step slow. He did score 21 points, 8 rebounds. He had a couple of assists, 3 steals. That's an interesting, 7 of 17. He posted up a lot. I think he was foul hunting a lot. Maybe he got a little too wrapped up in the looking for the fouls, and maybe he wasn't protecting the rim as much as well as he wanted to. So Porzingis was okay. Sam Hauser was pretty good. The Celtics' third quarter was amazing. And the third quarter was Pritchard, Hauser, Drew Peterson, and Luke Cornett. Those guys were amazing. Drew Peterson, what a game from him. So the Celtics in the first quarter, the first half, it was a lot of searching, but definitely in the first quarter for sure. It felt like with Brown and Derek White out, it wasn't clear how this game was going to go. There wasn't any real flow early on. The Celtics were just going to search to see what worked, what lineups worked, what didn't. And it's funny, I tweeted that out, and then all of a sudden, boom, here's Drew Peterson starting the second quarter. You're like, oh, well, there it is. Joe is searching for something, and let me try Drew Peterson. And he said after the game that he'd been having some pretty good reps lately, and so they wanted to give him a shot. He played 25 minutes in this game, 25 plus. No, just about 25, actually. His career number, you'll hear this number thrown around a lot. He played 30 minutes in the NBA career to this point, and he played 25 in this game. So almost doubled his career numbers. And he played pretty well. There are a couple of shots early that he passed up that he should have taken, and he made a couple of mistakes here and there. He had a pretty good foul on who was it? Was it Garland or Mitchell? He took a big whack at the ball from behind and smacked him in the face. But then he had some really good defensive plays. And like I said, the third quarter between him, Sam Hauser's third quarter was incredible. He had a point there where he hit a three. We had a layup, a steal, and a three in succession. I think he just had a really great third quarter and just a good game overall. But yeah, Pritchard was Hauser was good. I'm talking about Sam Hauser. Pritchard was really good in general as well. Although he wasn't shooting great, 7 of 16, but he shot great in the fourth quarter. Just Pritchard, becoming very dependable and also a pretty good defender too. He had a rip of Evan Mobley late in the game that was really important. Swiping down at the ball, stealing it clean, going the other way. Really great. So overall, I thought the Celtics played like I said, in the first quarter, it was not great. In the second quarter, they came around. The third quarter, it felt like they were pulling away. If they had just played with more pace in the fourth quarter, I think they slowed it down too much too soon. If they hit a couple of shots, if Drew Holiday had given anything, like Holiday was bad in this game, was a team worst -11 with Peyton Pritchard, interestingly enough, but Holiday looked all of -11. So I don't know. I think Pritchard, because he was on the floor in the fourth quarter, when a lot of this stuff, when a lot of the Donovan Mitchell stuff was happening. So that hurt his plus minus. But Holiday, 2 of 9, 0 of 3 from 3. They needed something from Holiday in this game. With no Brown, with no Derek White. Holiday, I think he was trying to be aggressive, but it just looked off. He's the one who looked a step slow. So I don't think Porzingis looked slow. Maybe he felt it, but Holiday definitely looked slow. I'm not concerned about it. I think that he's more pacing himself, but I don't think that this game was about pacing himself as much as it was just couldn't hit a thing. Everything was short. Maybe there is anything. Maybe there is, or he was listed with an adductor soreness, like a groin thing. Maybe he is like a little banged up. Maybe he's not giving it 100%. Maybe he's at 90% after the summer with the Olympics and all that stuff. I don't know what's going on with Holiday, but he's definitely not playing his best. Maybe that changes. It could change with him. It could change at any time. And just like against Chicago, he had a good final 2 minutes. In this game, we were waiting for that final 2 minutes or something, but I don't know. I feel like so much of this game would have been different if Drew had just a normal Drew Holiday game, just a regular Drew Holiday game. But look, in the end, credit the Cavs. Think they did a great job. And obviously credit Donovan Mitchell for that fourth quarter. They're tough. They are very clearly a challenger for the Boston Celtics. Wins like this mean something to them. Mitchell, after the game, said, we had to make a statement. After losing 2 games to the Hawks and getting knocked out of the NBA Cup, to have Boston come in and lose, especially with the third quarter going the way that it did, if they had not put up a fight, that would have been a real problem for the Cavs, right? Like, they had just lost 2 games to the Hawks, and if Boston comes in there and runs away with it in the second half, there'd be a lot of questions about, like, ooh, maybe there was some fool's gold in that run. So winning this game was definitely more important to the Cavs. Like, for the Celtics, who cares, right? Oh no, they're 16-4. You know, they're not playing their best basketball. They're figuring things out. They're reincorporating Kristaps Porzingis. They're trying to figure out what the defense that they've played for the first 18 games of the season, how that applies now to the next 18 now that Porzingis is back. And oh, by the way, they were missing 2 starters, 2 potential all-stars, a potential all-NBA guy. So for Boston, like, there's a reason why I've been talking about this so much from the Cavs perspective, because for Boston, it's just like, December loss. Okay, yeah, would have been nice to be in first place, but you're still a game and a half out. Who cares? You had 2 more games against the Cavs. Hell, if the Celtics get knocked out of the knockout rounds of the NBA Cup, I wouldn't be shocked if they had another game against Cleveland here. Like, that might be the NBA might be like salivating at the potential to take 2 teams that are knocked out of the NBA Cup, Boston and Cleveland, and on an off night for the Cup, be like, hey, how about another one of these games that have been close and everybody has loved so far? Let's throw another one in there. So there could be another Celtics game in there. Remember, if you look at the Celtics schedule, there's a big week and a half where doesn't look like they're playing anything, but they are. Those games are going to be scheduled. That's just blocked off. Are they going to be NBA Cup games, or are they going to be regular season games? If the Celtics are eliminated on Tuesday from the NBA Cup, the knockout rounds, that means there's going to be 4 regular season games that they're going to have to schedule. And those games are likely, they're going to be against teams that you got to be available, but also teams that have been knocked out. So another Celtics Cavs game is not out of the question here. So this game, this win, gives the Cavs some confidence. It gives them a little extra boost. They won this game. They needed to win this game. They wanted to win this game. They wanted to make a statement. And they want to feel like they can take a punch from Boston, whether they're missing guys or not. They want to feel like they could take that punch and give it back. And they did. So in a 7-game series, do I still pick Boston? Of course I do, because they can still attack matchups and they can still figure out ways to win. And some good shooting and a fully healthy team changes the calculus here tremendously. But confidence goes a long way. And if you give somebody like Darius Garland confidence, yeah, maybe he gives up a few baskets, but maybe he steps up his defense and maybe it doesn't impact him on the offensive end anymore. And that changes everything for Boston. And that is why these games are meaningful in a lot of ways. Meaningful to Cleveland and meaningful to what these next matchups can be. So I'm not worked up about this, but also keep in mind, losing to the Cavs winning more, I should phrase it that way, gives them confidence and life and something like when they go through film session, they can feel good about themselves. It reinforces the good habits. So Celtics, Heat, Monday night. I will be there. So make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. Podcasts all week long. They play on Friday. I'll podcast after that. They'll play on Saturday. I'll podcast after that, which means I'm podcasting every day this week. No days off for me. 7 podcasts this week. So subscribe to get all of them. Get into that YouTube page and get into the comment section and let me know what you're thinking. Am I right? Am I wrong about what my takes are from this game? How do you feel about the Cavs? And tell me about all this, whatever. So do that. And then I would love it if you shared the podcast and told everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.